Welcome everyone to the 6th round of the FIDE Grand Swiss 2025. On your screen is Praggnanandhaa, one of India's top players, and he is looking for a strong comeback with the white pieces. The reason is that in the 5th round he suffered a surprising defeat to the hands of Matthias Bluebaum, and Pragg is right now on 3 points out of 5, will be looking to make a strong comeback here. Top 2 spots of the tournament go to the candidates. Pragg already has a very good standing in the FIDE circuit, so this candidate spot may not be the biggest thing on his mind right now, but if he manages to win here, finish in top 2, then his spot is already confirmed. He doesn't have to wait until the end of the year. And there we have Mamedov, one of the top Azeri grandmasters, also known for his speed chess, very good at blitz, and he comes in and he's rated 2651, and Mamedov is a very strong and experienced player. The games have begun. We are ready to go. Pragg with the white pieces opens with pawn to d4. The thing about Pragg is that he can play really any opening move. e4, d4, c4, knight f3. He's an expert at everything. c4 played here and pawn to g6. Pragg brings his knight out to c3 and pawn to d5. We have the Grunfeld played here, and Pragg brings his knight to f3. Mamedov brings his bishop to g7. Now one of the main lines is to take on d5, but Pragg decides to go for something slightly offbeat, little less ambitious, but would be his preparation. Black castles here, and now Pragg plays this developing move, bishop d2. It's just a new idea. c5 played by Mamedov. The top engine choice is e6, but c5 makes a lot of sense. Pawn takes pawn here, and now Rauf brings his knight to a6. So one of the reasons why you play a quick c5 in Grunfeld is to open up this bishop. Pawn takes pawn taken. You can take with the knight, but also knight takes c5 looks like the more natural choice. Now any experienced Grunfeld player will be like, it's okay to give up this pawn on d5 because you have so much counterplay otherwise. b6, bb7 could be an idea. He goes a6 with the idea of b5. Pragg pushes his pawn to a4, stopping the queenside expansion, and knight jumps in to e4. Now the best move here could very well be to castle, but Pragg goes knight d4. And here black has a very strong move up his sleeve, which is e5, and Mamedov finds it. He's not afraid of, he comes back to f3, but d takes e6, by the way. Bishop e6 gives black excellent counterplay here with fe6. You can see the f file opening up, and this would be really good. So Pragg, instead of taking, goes back, but now knight d6, and already black is the one for choice. Bishop goes back to e2, and now e4 coming in. He pushes it. Pragg under pressure now. He's pawn up, but black pieces, look at them. Look at this bishop. Look at the knights, the other bishop, and the queen now coming in. If you short castle, bishop h3 is big trouble here. So that's the reason why he goes king f1, not a happy move that you make here. He goes bishop to d7 now. And maybe here a much better option was h5, trying to go h4. Pragg then starts his kingside play. He wants to play h4, h5. The queen comes back to e7. And he pushes his pawn to h5. The rook goes to c8, putting pressure on the c file here. bishop e1 by Pragg. Black plays rook e8. Useful move, getting the rook on the open file, and pawn to b4 played. Now have to be slightly careful here. He jumps in knight d3. It's very interesting what Pragg has done. His pieces are not so well placed, but he's still expanding on both wings. Bishop takes d3. Well, you can take bishop takes d4, but also bishop, he took ed3 here, and Pragg recaptures the pawn on d3. Now knight to f5 played. If you take here, then bishop f5. Black is doing well, so Pragg calmly comes back knight e2. He's right now treading on dangerous terrain. Queen takes b4 taken here by Mamedov. But Pragg activates his rook now. Rook b1 attacking the pawn on b7. Queen c5 is a must. He brings his queen to c5, putting pressure here. And h takes g6. You can take back f takes g6 or h g6. Both are possible. He takes back with the h pawn. The rook on h1 is very powerfully placed here. Rook takes b7. Pragg takes here. So in a way, Pragg has all his pieces in the center. Whoa! Rook takes e3. If you play fe3, knight e3, king g1, knight g4 should end in a perpetual. So Pragg goes knight to e4. Rook takes d3. Knight takes c5, forking here. But of course, you will take back. Rook takes c5. And now rook to d7. He takes, rook takes d5 here. And Praggnanandhaa now brings his rook to a7. The position still quite complicated. He comes back rook d8 in order to avoid any ideas with a check. On the last rank, Pragg chops off the pawn. And the rook comes in to pin here on the last rank, threatening stuff like rook e8. Pragg goes g4. And this has been like the narrative of the game. White is a pawn up, but black has activity. And that's what is happening even now. King g2. Pragg is hoping that he is able to coordinate with knight g3, bishop b4. But once again, rook e8 played, attacking the knight on e2. And Pragg goes knight to g3. There was a possibility to play bishop b4, but then takes and take here should be also equal. Knight jumps to c4. And the bishop comes to b4. He goes rook d4 here, attacking the pawn on g4. Pragg brings his rook to e1. He's fighting against the e file. Now the thing is, if you took here, then check here could become a bit nasty later. So he goes rook b8, attacking the bishop, and g5 played, a beautiful move, because if you take here, check, if king h7, rook h1 is a mate. If bishop f8, there is rook e8. So he cannot take the bishop. He goes knight b2, attacking this way. Bishop d6, attacking the rook. The game is very sharp. Rook to d8. And now the bishop is hanging. So brings the knight in to e4. Rook takes a4 played. And he takes on a4. Knight takes e4. And now Pragg's only hope as we near move 40, in fact this is the 40th move, is to deliver some kind of a mate here. But rook e8 is very important, because now check, you cannot take with the bishop as the rook hangs. So this is the reason why rook e8 was an important move, or else Pragg did have chances. He goes knight to d6. Mamedov brings his rook to a8. And Pragg plays bishop to f6. He takes. Pragg has been capable of converting very small edges into victory, but I believe this one is not going to be one of those. Knight to c5. And now rook to e7. Very strong move, attacking the f7 pawn here. So rook comes to a6. Check. King h7. And Pragg now plays rook to d8. Just very carefully grinding here. g5, just to make some space for the king to come in to attack this pawn. He takes on f7. If you play rook f6, there's knight g5. So he goes king g6. Very logical move. And Pragg gives up his knight here. Knight to g5. Very interesting. He takes here, not really worrying about Pragg's threat. f7, and now knight e6, kind of forced. The rook goes to e8, and Pragg is hopeful that he can take here and queen, but rook a7 is very important. He takes on e6, and now rook takes f7. We have the simple Philidor position here, which is like it's easy to draw here because the black king is right in front of the pawn. He goes king f4, rook e3, and now even the rook trade here will be a drawn pawn endgame. So takes on g3, f takes g3, and Mamedov now plays king to g5. Yes, and this is a draw. Pragg gives up the pawn, and a draw here. Great play by black, I must say, not giving Pragg any real chances in the game. And well, Pragg definitely has a few things to say in the post-game analysis, so we'll let you hear them out and also put an analysis board there for you to follow.